Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri, and is the world's first single barrel only liquor store. This business is owned and operated by Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to sign up for their email and text distribution list. That way you'll know what they have in stock, what classes are coming up, and what barrel picks they have in the works. We are also sponsored by The Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for yourself, a customized gift, or logo items for your business or event, The Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebar2go.com. Use the number 2 when you type out The Bar to Go. Did you know Neely Family Distillery now ships its popular distilled spirits directly to you? To order, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we discuss sourcing bourbon versus making bourbon. My name is McNew. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guests, Katie Joyce, Bo Cumberland, and Kathy Cool.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Hey, you guys.
Hello.
Hello. So we're going to have a fun show today. We're going to be talking about sourcing versus making whiskey and what that means to us just as consumers, not people actually make it. We have no distillers on tonight, so it should be fun to talk about that. We'll get to that after the break. For right now, Kathy said there's something she wanted to talk about. What is that, Kathy?
I do. So I'm not on the Twitter, but there's a trend on the Twitter. And it is name the chapter of your life right now as if it's a book.
Mm-hmm.
So where you are in your life, that chapter gets a name. Okay. What do you name it? I know, right? I should have texted you earlier. So
second to last chapter for me. It's second to last chapter. So yeah, that's it. I got one more chapter after this. This chapter.
So your chapter is called Penultimate Steve.
Penultimate Steve. Yes,
Penultimate.
I'm working on the final chapter, which is going to be just having fun. But right now I got to build up the business. I'm in the building up this final business mode, and hopefully I can build it up where I can be retired, but still be involved in the business, still dropping some podcasts from time to time, still, going out and doing the barrel picks. But I hope in a couple of years here, you're not going to see Steve behind the register ringing that out, or when someone comes in and destroys the bathroom, me in there cleaning that up. I hope to be past all that. And again, but you got to do your dues. I'm not trying to rush things. I want the business to be successful. I want to do the hard work that makes it a success. I'm not complaining about where we're at right now. I'm very happy, and it's fun to be able to build up a business. But there is life after the business, and that'll be the final chapter. And the final chapter is going to be, I think, the best chapter. So yeah, well, we'll see. That's it. That's where I'm at.
It's a good one.
Yeah. I did okay there. Anybody else? What chapter? McNew's still in the prologue, so she hasn't really got going.
No. I think it's now at this point in my life finding humor in terrible fucking decisions. So.
Good.
A good way. It's all encompassing.
It's all encompassing.
So is that all the words in the chapter right there? Like is your chapter title?
You don't even need details. You just humor and fucking terrible decisions.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's speculate on that privately. We're not going to talk about that.
Nope.
No. Bo, where are you at here?
I don't know what the name of the chapter would be, but I'm at that part in my book where like it's just been terrible so far, and then
all these friends you got here with you that are enjoying time with you. No, this is all shit. This is the shitty part of my life.
The next
Wait
chapter.
until the episode about the dick pics airs. Your life will be so much better.
Yeah, it's about to turn around, buddy.
The next chapter could be good or bad, and depending on how that goes, then it could be just shit from here on out, or it could be one of those rising rocky books. You never know. But it's the valley right now.
There's plot twists all over. Plot twist.
Right.
Yeah.
Plot twist.
Plot twist.
That's what we're going to call it.
Plot
Bo
twist.
Cumberland.
Yeah.
Plot twist.
Okay. Katie, where are you at in your book?
The train is coming down the tracks, is what I'm thinking. I was trying to think of other train phrases, but everything else was like derailed, off track, runaway train. That all sounded a little too ominous and bad. There's a lot of positivity in this chapter of my life. It's just that it's a moving train and it's on the tracks and it's keeping going right now. Okay. But also I'm like, there's cars getting added to the train. And
I would say based on your age, I think you're at a good point. We're at your book where we should be, I would say.
So I read that.
I've got a fully running locomotive heading full speed down the tracks right now for my chapter in life.
Okay.
And it's Kathy, I better hope I don't get run over by it. I just hope I'm on the train at this point.
Kathy, on the train.
Question. And I had the benefit of time, so I could think of it, but I actually thought of it while you guys were talking. I don't know if you know who Sisyphus is. But my chapter is called KK, Sisyphus for the Win. In an explanation, Sisyphus is one of those myths or old time stories of the Greek and Roman gods where he was plagued or cursed to roll the stone up the hill.
Oh. Okay.
And as soon as it would get to the top, it would roll to the bottom and he would have to push it up again. So he was constantly pushing the rock up the hill. And I'm going to call this one Sisyphus for the Win because, like Steve,
you get that hill.
So now that we remember who Sisyphus is, tell us the whole title again.
KK, Sisyphus for the Win.
Okay. I like it. I like it a lot.
And where were you going? You said like Steve and then...
Well,
sorry,
Steve. The next chapter is I get to enjoy and relax and...
Right.
And, like... pool boys are going to fan me with palm fronds, bring me bourbon.
Well, it's like I get a taste of it from time to time. Like when we're all down in Key West, I'm like, this is close to being where I'm at. I'm there. I'm just about there. So yeah, it's kind of, it's not, a vacation. So it's not time away. It's like, this is a preview here.
And, the interesting thing is, I was talking to a friend and I said, I'm ready for Key West. I just need $15 million.
Right.
And their response was, or a dog who can wear sunglasses and the kindness of strangers.
Hey, that's easier than 15 million. I would throw dollars at that dog all day. Especially after I have a couple drinks. I'm like, what money? What's money? Here's $1. Everybody gets $1.
There you go.
So I'm either going to go to Key West homeless with the dog who can wear sunglasses, or with $15 million, but either way, for me, that's a win.
All right.
You've got a dog chewing on my carpet you can take with you.
I know how to fix
glasses.
I know how to fix the carpet.
This is a bonus round, and again, but it's not going to be a discussion. It's going to be name the city. And so it's not like this and that. It's just name the city. If you had to be homeless, and you could be anywhere in the world, even. We'll give you the latitude to be able to say in the world, what city are you living in? You're homeless, mind you. You do not have a job or the capability to get one. You have to be homeless, and this is where you're living. Bo Cumberland, you're first. Where are you going to be living if it's homeless?
San Diego.
San Diego. Great choice. The weather's great. Yes, it is the downsides I see are it's a bigger city, tough to navigate as the homeless. It does get some tourism. I think tourism helps. So that's a good thing. And, but it's expensive. So because you do have to live, you got to buy your booze, you got to buy your hamburgers. So that's the downside. So that's my evaluation of yours. Kathy, where are you living? Homeless Kathy. But it's a great choice.
Can I ask,
maybe the best weather in the U.S.
Okay. Can I ask a clarifying question?
Okay. I'm sorry your time has elapsed. You are now have to go and you have to live in.
You now live in Cincinnati.
You're now living in Cincinnati eating Skyline Chili.
Homeless old women make the most being prostitutes.
Oh my God.
Vegas.
This took a very dark turn. I didn't expect.
You're going to Vegas. You're going to be fine.
It's too hot in Vegas. I'll go to Key West.
Key West. Okay.
That's hot. Inexpensive.
Okay, fair enough.
I'll burrow in the sand.
All right, McNew, where are you at? The homeless McNew. Where does homeless McNew? Where can we find you?
Yuma, Arizona. They get the most sunlight out of any place in the United States all year. I will be homeless and I won't have seasonal depression anymore. I'm going to be fucking happy homeless in Yuma, Arizona.
Have you ever even been to Yuma, Arizona?
No, I haven't, but that's where I'm going to be homeless at.
Perfect. Yeah, it gets a little chilly at night, but all right, go ahead.
I don't care.
Okay. Katie, where's homeless Katie living?
Innsbruck, Missouri, because that's where my parents live, so I can just go live with them.
Oh, that's a cheat.
That's a terrible answer.
Sure.
Terrible answer.
My answer for the intended question is Nice, France, because it was one of the most beautiful cities I have ever experienced in my life. So if I'm going to have to be homeless, it might as well be gorgeous.
It's a good one.
Okay.
And if I'm going to be homeless and useless, I might as well not speak the language very well. Okay. I mean, I'm useless anyway.
So,
the good news is I'll see Kathy. I'll be in Key West as well. So Kathy and I can hang out. So that'll be good.
I don't totally not have a plan here. So Yuma also has a military base. I don't care if it's cold at night. I will just find someone to snuggle me. They like me. It's going to be fine.
They like me.
Naval base.
I have no issues.
Key West has a naval base, and it's not 120 degrees during the day.
Yeah, this is true.
I want it to be 120 degrees during the day. Thank you.
Oh my God, that sounds dreadful.
Okay. There you go. That was insightful. All right. It is time to drink. What is everyone drinking? Let's start with McNew.
I have some sourced whiskey. I have some Alias rye right out of MGP, Sourcing King.
Not that good, but
that's what
it's
sourced whiskey gets you.
Yeah.
The corks.
Bo, you're next.
I'm going to go with some Goodwood. So it's sourced as well. It's their Honey Ale Barrel Finish.
Okay, that's our lead. That was decent.
That
Could be enough. We'll see. Kathy, you're next.
I'm going to have some Old Scout.
Old Scout. Okay. No, not enough. Bo's got the lead. Katie, you're next.
I have
a
change in my decision of what I'm drinking for this show. So I'm going to have some Dancing Goat Distillery High Rye Bourbon.
Okay.
Not sourced.
From the ABV Barrel Shop.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's good. That's an important thing. All right. Sorry, we'll be quiet. Okay. No, not enough. Bo's got the lead. I do have a source product here, MGP. It's Buzzard's Roost, and this is their straight rye whiskey. I've got. All right. Nice and bassy, but not as good as Bo's. Bo, you won, man. How about that?
Way to go, Bo.
Cheers to Bo.
Cheers. Ding.
All right. We'll take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to be talking about sourcing your whiskey, making your whiskey. Do we have opinions on both of these? We'll do that in just a few. Let's talk about the people who make these shows happen. First up is the ABV Barrel Shop. It is the most unique shopping experience in the world of bourbon, as the ABV Barrel Shop only sells single barrels. Owners Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot select. With over 100 distilleries on board to sell us barrels, we are home to the most unique and diverse barrel pick selections in the bourbon world. By signing up for our email, you will always know what we have in stock. In addition to the single barrels, we'll have a gift shop featuring ABV Barrel Shop as well as ABV Network merchandise. We are partnering with vendors like Art Eatables and Old Man Bay Signs to bring you unique items you can't find anywhere else. We will also have a 24-seat classroom where we are offering educational and fun classes like Breakfast and Bourbon, a series where we pair donuts and bourbon, customer barrel picks, and opportunities to learn from master distillers and other bourbon dignitaries. Best of all, we feature a tasting bar where you can try before you buy. All of this is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri. If you are in the St. Louis area, please stop by to say hi. If you're traveling in from outside the area, please take advantage of our hotel rates with the Drury Inn and Pear Tree Inn, less than a mile from our shop. This can be done via the links in our Visit St. Louis section on our website. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to plan your trip. The ABV Barrel Shop. It's where single barrels live. Hi, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network. We're sponsored by the Stave and Thief Society. This is where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge a bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification program available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Okay, let's talk about the Neely Family Distillery. In 2018, I met Royce Neely at an industry event. He started appearing on our shows, and we became friends during my frequent trips to Kentucky. Today, he is amongst the leaders of young distillers leaving their mark on the bourbon industry. A visit to Neely Family Distillery yields insight on their unique family history, why their products are special, and gives you the opportunity to taste their whiskey, moonshine, and creams. Check them out at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com or visit them in Sparta, Kentucky.
As Becca said, everybody's bringing trash. I'm stepping up my game with a brand new single barrel from Neely Family Distillery. This is the Autumn Vanilla single barrel.
Nice.
I've already preemptively taken the plastic off, not wasting anybody's time, Becca. And then let's see if this cork pop goes.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we're discussing sourcing versus making bourbon.
Yes, we are. What do you guys think about this? What's your take? Sourced versus making whiskey.
I have many thoughts.
Okay.
I do too.
All right.
Yeah.
Katie, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Kathy.
So I think it's a necessity if you're a newer company, because obviously I think you're better to source it than to put out a product that's not ready. I've seen some companies who have put out their products that need to be aged a little longer, and it hurt their branding. So you're better to source something than to try to push your own making too soon.
But here's my counter to that.
Okay.
People who are sourcing their whiskey and then release a brand that is not as good as the source.
That is the issue. Yes.
Yeah, we've seen that happen. There's
Because
a couple
you're building
examples.
up your brand
I
around
don't want to talk
that
about it.
sourcing, and then you could have something completely different, which then is problematic as well.
Yeah.
And so then it's a matter of, really, do you just do nothing until it's ready, or do
white spirits,
something else until it is ready, which probably is the more honorable and truthful thing to do as well, for having a consistency in your branding as well.
Yeah.
But I think there are a lot of source products that are good.
Right.
And they could lead to good products that they make themselves. They just need to make sure that their profiles don't turn 180 degrees.
Right.
We need consistency
and I think
and quality.
It needs to have they need to make sure that it's clearly different names. Like, they can't have the same, just their brand name,
right,
and have the new year.
Yeah,
it needs to have a different product name with it.
Yeah. It can't be called Kathy Cool's Reserve, and then as she's sourcing it, and then next year on January 1st, we're going to switch over to Kathy Cool's Reserve, and it's something she's made. There could be shock, as you said. It could be wait a second here. What happened?
Yep.
So I like the idea. And of course, we saw New Riff probably do this better than anybody. They had a source brand called OKI. Ultimately, when they finally had their stuff ready to go, they got rid of the OKI. They ended up selling it off. They discontinued it, and then ultimately did sell it, and someone else has it now. And I think that was probably the best we've seen, because they were very upfront the whole time. We've got this. We're not going to have it forever. This is until our stuff's ready to go. Enjoy it. We're sourcing the best whiskey we can get, and hopefully you'll enjoy this. But we look forward to you tasting our stuff. And I think that was really the map to how to do that in the best way possible, if that's going to be the route you take.
Totally agree. I think being honest and upfront with it is important always.
Yes.
I think being honest, even if you are sourcing it, of always being upfront about that is incredibly important, because there's nothing shameful about it either, of saying, yeah, we source this, but we're good at sourcing it. We're good at what we're doing. We're good at, blending, whatever it is that we're doing and the product that we're putting out, and being honest and owning it. And I think that if you are choosing not to discuss it, it starts to very quickly look shady.
Mm-hmm.
So then I have a question.
Okay.
A lot of distilleries are under bigger names like Diageo and all these, Seagrams, they own many places. They're going to borrow. They're going to borrow from other places. They're going to distill something here because they can. Is that sourcing? If it's not, does that question make sense?
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of people who are sourcing from some of the major companies, but this is more of sharing with under the same umbrella. But I think it still counts as sourcing.
I would count it as sourcing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you opened
it's like, let's talk about Bullet.
Bullet doesn't make anything themselves.
Right.
I mean, they are laying things down. They're aging it, but none of it's available yet. They will at some point. They've got some big distilleries actually that they've opened up, and they are going to be a big producer. But right now they're sourcing all their stuff, 100% of their stuff. So, so that'll be an interesting one to see as it transitions. Bullet's such an interesting one to me though, because I don't feel like Bullet's actually one of the biggest brands. It's probably like number 3 or for number 4. It's way up there. But I don't feel like there's any Bullet drinkers. And what I mean by that is Bullet neat drinkers. I feel like it goes into a lot of cocktails. It's a good mixer and things like that. So it's certainly a valuable brand. But I don't feel like there's a whole group of individuals that drink Bullet. No, I just feel it.
There's nobody lining up to be like, oh, I bought Bullet today. Like there's nobody looking for Bullet. But I think it gets the bar culture. You're always going to find Bullet in a bar, especially when you're traveling.
Which is really good.
It's the bar culture that's got Bullet where Bullet is.
Yeah.
The family member that is the bartender really built that.
Built that up,
in the bars and as a
So, but to Kathy's point, I don't think that will hurt it as much as other things, only because, again, putting something in a cocktail is different than drinking it neat, and I assume it's going to be good product that they're making. Now, if they just make something that's horrible, of course, that changes everything we're talking about. But assuming that what they're building, I'm sure they're using the same recipe. It is going to taste different. But I assume, and maybe I shouldn't do that, but I'm assuming that it's not going to be that noticeable because I think most people's experience with Bullet will be via cocktail. So that's what I think.
And I actually kind of enjoy it in a cocktail. Like it's nothing spectacular by any means.
Yeah, it's a high rye. I mean, it stands up. I mean, the Bullet stands up in the cocktail. That's why it's great for cocktail selection for sure.
I like Bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bullet rye is interesting for some reason. I don't know why. They have a weird rye. Like
yeah. What else do we think about this? Sourcing versus I always think to me, if you're looking at two whiskeys and you feel that both are similar or one's it's close, I would go with the person that makes it. I mean, if I had to select between two, because I think there is something honorable about making your own product and being able to create it and present it and to go in and talk to them. And I get nothing against Source. The product that I drank today to start this out is a friend of ours. It's Jason Bronner. It's his product. He sources it. Again, he's upfront about it. There's no hiding that. I'm not letting the cat out of the bag there. And I think he's doing it the right way. But to me, it's always better if you are making the product. I think that's just something pretty cool versus buying a whiskey, even if you do something to it. And I do think it's a good idea, like Jason is doing. He does the finish with everything that he's doing. I think that's a great way to go. I have less respect for people who just buy whiskey and put it in the bottle and then, because it does all start to taste alike. All that MGP stuff,
it's all the same.
Tasting alike across different brands because it is the same, really. So.
Yeah, but look at Barrel. Everything they do is sourced, and yet they put it together in a way that makes it so special.
They make it all interesting.
Right.
It's so special, and it's so good. So that's sourcing done right.
So Steve, I like what you did in Key West, where we're going to have a spirits competition, but none of it can be sourced. We know you never said sourcing was bad. We like source whiskey, but let's honor the makers. So I think in all spirits competition, I think you set that lead and others should follow suit.
No one else has done that. That's one of a kind. That's one of a kind.
Where it's this was the best source whiskey. This was the double gold source. This was a double gold made. I like that separation, and I think it's important. And you're the first person to make that point.
I do think that it would be disheartening. Again, I'm not a distiller, never have been. Don't strive to be a distiller, but I do think it'd just be disheartening if I put my heart and soul into making a whiskey and I finish in second place to someone who bought a whiskey and put it in a bottle.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
And that has happened. The source ones have won.
Example right there.
And I think so much of it too is the terroir of the area of what water you have, the flavor of your own corn and your grains, etc., of your area. That sourcing, they can choose whatever area they want, but if you're making it, technically you could, I guess, ship in water from elsewhere.
Yeah, but I don't know if anybody's doing that. Yeah, that would be expensive. Yeah.
So, I mean, shipping in corn from elsewhere that's a little more obtainable, but the water alone is going to incredibly change your entire product. And so I think that's why the two should totally be in different categories.
Yeah. Again, I hope people aren't listening to this thinking you're bashing source whiskey, because I'm not. I like source whiskey.
Now I have a new question based on Katie's comments. So we are good friends with a distiller who does all of his own grain, all of his own stuff, and he's sourcing to someone else who's using his bottles, he's using his whiskey, and he's putting a different label on. It's tasty.
Right.
Has a different name.
Right.
But it's sourced.
Yes.
That's all.
So, okay, I have
thoughts, questions.
I mean, those guys are friends, and it's one helping out the other. It is interesting. I would want to change it if and again, I'm not involved in either of those organizations, but if I was, I think for both parties, I think it should be in a different bottle. It's in the same bottle.
Same bottle.
I think that's the weird thing.
It's a different bottle.
Yeah, it should be in a different bottle. I don't think you should put it in the same glass. Again, the label's different. You put them side by side. Not everybody knows that, but you look at it, you're like, that's the exact same bottle. And yes, I think that's the weird thing about that is it's sold in the same market, same product. And yeah, a different bottle would go a world of difference there, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, clarification question on sourcing definition as well. So the not just sourcing it elsewhere and putting it in the bottle, but someone who is getting barrels elsewhere and then blending it on their own, that still counts as sourcing? Yes. Okay. Next question down. So a different process where they are not starting with just the grains, but they're starting with a different process of like a finished beer from a different make a beer maker and then making their whiskey out of that. That still counts as making, correct?
Correct. Unfortunately, yes. And I disagree with that. There's a big national brand, one of the heritage brands. They actually sell their mash that they've gone through and distilled, and then they send it to another company that distills it again, and then that company says we've distilled this. Now they have distilled it,
right?
But they haven't really made that whiskey. To me, that's not making the whiskey. It's not sourced.
Where's the line?
I think that should count as sourced if it was a beer that was a distiller's beer. But however, there's a brand so I have one here, Arcane. They get beer that was brewed like drinking beer. So they get an IPA that was never intended to be used for whiskey. And they use
not distiller's beer as it's known, but yeah.
And so I think that should count as making because they're not using any product that was also used for a distilling or any kind of whiskey process. They're using it from a beer process and then brought it into the whiskey world. So I think it should count as whiskey. They're just choosing to use a finished IPA instead of making their own distiller's beer. Does that make sense?
So Steve, then what is your definition of I made it myself?
You do everything. Every step of the way.
I think from the moment the moment that it's a product in the whiskey world, you do it yourself. So you could do the process differently. So like you could use a finished IPA or a finished stout instead of make your own distiller's beer. But from the moment that it is a product in the whiskey world, you have done it yourself.
So Steve, are you like, so obviously like, okay, you're not like a farm to like glass distillery. Are you saying from the minute you start the mash, you've made it yourself?
Yeah,
right.
I think that's actually making it, because they're the ones that they've created something that's every step of I think that's the definition truly of someone that says that I've made this. They haven't bought something that is pre-made.
Right.
You know, I mean, I can bake you a cake that is a Duncan Hines boxed recipe.
Thank you.
And I can bake you that cake, but is and you
Can you really bake that cake?
Sure. It might not be good. So someone could, potentially not me, but someone could bake you that cake.
Cake.
Are you telling me that you think that Duncan Hines is the same as someone who just takes the flour, granulates, or whatever they got to do with that? They run it through that little thing.
Such a good argument.
Wow,
so,
this is
great comparison.
Right. So my sister-in-law is a baker, right? She owns a home bakery. She makes everything from scratch. She has a friend who claims to have a home bakery, but she will use box mixes.
Right.
My sister-in-law would never, ever, ever dream of using a box mix. So yeah,
this comparison helps me. Thank you.
It's actually, yes. So it's like, was it a baked good? Was it homemade? Was it baked in a bakery?
At the end of the day, both would identify themselves as bakers, but isn't one you have a little bit more respect for?
Also, who's just a really good shopper and knows where to buy the best cake or the best cake mix, and then serve that up with their own, that they know who makes the best cake, who makes the best icing, and they put it together and serve up the best.
I can go to a party and bring a cake from Costco because I know it fires Steve up.
Sure.
Take that label off and put a KK label on it and say, I have sourced your birthday cake.
As long as you say that it's sourced and that you did not homemade it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't pass it off as homemade though. Now you're being.
Well, they would know me and say, that's nothing.
So I just feel like in our examples here. So let's utilize 3 examples as our bakers. Who do you have the most respect for? Do you have the most respect for McNew's sister-in-law that is literally making everything herself? Do you have the respect for KK, who's going to the store and presenting something else that someone has made? Or do you have Katie, who she gave the example like the making the beer? Again, to me, that's kind of like, you ever watch on the Food Network, Sandra Lee, and she has semi-homemade or whatever her show was.
That's like for cake. I'm going to take a box cake and a can of soda.
I'm going to elevate it by doing
the eggs and everything else. I'm going to get a can of soda and box cake and mixing it together. That's how I make my cake.
That's the example of utilizing that beer. Yes. Again, my most respect goes for McNew's sister-in-law, who's making everything herself. I think that's the
But it has to be done well.
But
mess up that process.
Barrel Spirits is putting the soda and the Duncan Hines together.
Yeah.
But
they're the Sandra Lee. They're the Sandra Lee. But again, that's not bad.
Fantastic.
It's not bad because they tell the truth about it. They don't lie about it. What Barrel does, I've got a lot of respect for. Barrel makes some of the best stuff up.
But what I'm doing is I'm taking the label off and I'm putting the KK label on. Least respect.
That would be the least
respect. Yes. So listen though, so like there's a price point too, right? So like if you want a cake from my sister-in-law, that's like $100. If you want a cake from Costco, that's maybe like $30, right? So what do you want to spend today? Do you want to spend $100 on like a custom made cake for you that you know was scratch start to finish made by this one person that you love and respect? Great. If you're like, you know what, I don't want to spend $100 today, there's nothing wrong with sourcing it from the Costco. That's fine. I'm going to spend $30 today. You got it. It's a decision that you're making as a buyer.
Yeah, because a lot of us popped sourced whiskeys at the beginning.
It feels
so
like
we have it on our
I
shelf.
did not. I would like to point out.
You could have if you looked at your shelf hard enough.
Oh, I had many options for sourced whiskey. I purposely looked around for one that was not.
Okay. But it feels like everyone has a good understanding of the bakery thing. And again, I'm not even talking about our group, but I think anybody who's listening understands the difference in the bakery thing. And you just need to understand it's the exact same thing with distilleries. You don't, none of them, the Costco cake can be, maybe it's your favorite out of all of them. So it doesn't necessarily mean that that baking it yourself is the best way to go.
It's also consistent. You know that Costco cake is going to taste the same every
time. You know it's going to be
the only
good.
problem is if Costco changes the recipe.
That's true. It doesn't tell anybody.
They fire their vendor that makes it, or or you realize that they're inserting a chip inside your head when you go in there that is to take over all your thinking. So yes, at some point all these Costco shoppers are going to turn on us. I don't know when that's going to be. At some point, someone's going to hit the button. We should have done
this Krabby Steve episode last.
Someone's going to hit that
zombie
headquarters, and they're all going to turn on us. Those Costco people are going to come after us, and we need to be ready when that happens. So it's coming. The day of reckoning is coming.
I don't know, Bo, which cake are you buying?
Yeah. Well, this is what I think. I also have respect for, just as much as I have respect for distillers who
just as much.
Well, not just hold on.
Okay.
You take a distiller who's done all the legwork to say, here's the grains I want, here's the temperature I'm going to cook it at here. So I get that. I'm with you on that, Steve. So when you start from there and go forward, to me, that's the
ultimate.
The ultimate.
You know what? I can't do that. I couldn't do that.
Right.
I could make a good source whiskey.
Talking.
I know,
right below that, though.
I know. He doesn't need an attorney, Kathy. He's good. He's an adult.
I think
right below that, I think, are the people that are good enough to sample different barrels and say, like, I can drink barrels and say, that's good, this is good, this is good, this is bad. But I'm not good enough to take a sample of this and a sample of that and say, man, this would enhance that. If I added 20% of this to that, like, and there are people that are that good.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
You know, I think Jason Bronner's probably one of them. And to be able to say, you know, I'm going to take, you know, we're thinking of people that source. I think subconsciously we see them as going into a rick house and say, give me that barrel, and that barrel, mix it and be done with it. But there's an art to that too. And whereas I don't think it's quite as elaborate as picking the grain, picking the temperature, you know, cooking it, all that is I get that, but I do think the ones that are taking the barrels and doing all of the, like Jackie Zykim, for instance. I mean, she can taste a sample and
individual parts and put it together and elevate it above the individual parts, which is
yeah.
I agree. I agree that there's skills in all of that stuff, but to me, the most respect comes from the person that can make a product and then carry it all the way through to the bottle, and that is the ultimate when it comes to the distillery experience. And that's why our Key West Awards recognize individuals that can do exactly that. I could source a great brand. I couldn't be a blender like Jackie. She's got way more skills than me than that, but I could create a really great brand, I believe, in sourcing some good whiskey and doing some sort of barrel finish, and then just by taste, not again blending a bunch of stuff, but a single barrel program. I think I could do a good job with that. I think maybe I could ultimately get to double gold level in San Francisco, that good. But I don't think I could get the other paths don't take me there. If I decide I'm going to be a blender, I couldn't get there. If I decide I wanted to start making my own whiskey, I couldn't get there. I don't have enough skill to do that. So that's why I have nothing but respect for people. But again, the number one spot is the person who ultimately makes the thing from start to finish. Blenders are up there too. I get that. But the lowest level is the people that buy barrels. Just put it in
bottles.
Just put it in a bottle. And there's a lot of that goes on. And I don't have any really respect for that. And again, it's not to say that's bad whiskey, because if you're just buying MGP and you put it in a bottle, that could be good whiskey, but respect? I don't get any respect for that. You just spent some money. So, yeah. There you go. On that note, we're going to wrap this one up, as we always do, by talking about where people can find us. Kathy, we're starting with you. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at KKCaskStrength.
Katie.
You can find me with none of the skills for making or sourcing over on Instagram at Katie Proof.
All right. Bo.
I'm on all the socials under My Journey Through the American Spirits and Bourbon Sasquatch.
McNew.
You can find me drinking sourced and non-sourced on Instagram at McNew at ABV.
For me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've also got a company website, abvnetwork.com. Check it out. Our shop is out there, our blog, so much more, abvnetwork.com. Come by and see us at the ABV Barrel Shop, where we are tasting out barrel picks of people who do a really great job either making or sourcing whiskey. So check us out at abvbarrelshop.com. McNew, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I would like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review that includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. And if you like what we're doing, we ask that you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the Network.
Great job today, gang. Finance will have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Peace. Before we finish the show, let's talk about some great companies that support the ABV network. First up is Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you want to experiment on the stove in your kitchen or you're looking for a bigger setup in your backyard, owner Russell Creed and his team can help. They have multiple still offerings, accessories, and even grain from their partners at Goldstone Mill to assist you in making whiskey on par with your favorite distillery. They can also help you with some fabricated parts you probably can't make yourself if you are attempting a DIY still project. Learn more or order your still or parts at moonshinestillpro.com. Last but not least is the ABV Barrel Shop. While we don't get to play in the allocated bourbon game because we aren't selling the other products you have to do to get those, we do have access via our friendships in the bourbon industry to some really cool stuff. Have you ever seen your favorite craft distiller selling some really cool limited offerings only in their gift shop? I'm talking things like the hazmat offering Distillery 291 did for their 10th anniversary, or Neely Family Distillery's Papaw's birthday barrel. They don't have enough of it to send it out to distributors, so they only sell it via their gift shop. Well, companies like Distillery 291 and Neely Family Distillery have agreed to sell us 2 or 3 cases of these offerings moving forward, meaning our store will have the access to some of the rarest whiskeys in the world. Way more difficult to come by than the allocated bourbon offerings with a national release. Yes, they will be extremely tough to come by, but if you're a customer of our store, you'll have a chance to get them. Get signed up for our email or text list over at abvbarrelshop.com so you don't miss out.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.